Hello everybody, my name's Kamar Williams, and I'm going to start with a few pictures from my senior project. This is the logo for Montclair Pet Grooming, where I interned at for the last 3 weeks. This is one of the dogs who is a special case because we usually don't do styling, but occasionally we do styling and dyeing. And this is Gracie, number 1. And actually, no, just Gracie. I don't have Gracie number 2. And okay, this was a dog that was brought in by someone who, you can't really see it, but the nails are very long, and the person actually had acrylic nails to just as long. So it was a very long process to dry this dog, but she was very scared and wouldn't stay still at all. It was hard enough to take this picture. And I keep this picture because it's a total transformation between what we came in with and what we left with. So, okay, my senior project. So for my senior project, like I said, I interned at Montclair Pet Grooming, which I was introduced to her by my mother, and she had told me about this pet groomer who wasn't too far from where I lived, and she was passionate about her animals, and she was just very close, and I should ask her if I could come and just either watch or even participate, whether it was in a job position or not. And I was more or less hoping for a job position, but she is a small businesswoman who can't have a steady payroll. So I just called it an internship, and I got paid per dog whenever she could. So every day I would go, and her hours were from 9 to 5. I would wash the dogs, I would dry the dogs, I'd clean the floors. I'd either sweep them and then vacuum, or just vacuum, because it was a very interesting vacuum and it was very fun. So I would also file her cards for her contacts. And it just, a lot of interny things like the filing. And I also would go out occasionally. There was a cupcake place that was not too far, so I'd go out, and she made me take about maybe 3 runs per day for just cupcakes and come back. But it was okay, because it was just me and her there. She didn't have that many other people often. Okay, so I want to start this off with a story. So imagine, you've had 2 days on the job. The first day, you're just watching. And you're watching her as she shows you how to, or at least tries to show you how to open the tub that you wash the dogs in, because she has 2 handles on both sides and they open in many different ways. You have to twist one and the other in different directions at the same exact time. And if you're not perfect, it won't open. So then you also have to learn how to work the dryers. And if you flip both switches on for double the power at the same time, then you blow an outage and you have to go back around the back and then, restart the power and start all over and hope the dog doesn't, get off the table and run around. So I'm in the process of doing this on my 3rd day, which I actually get to do hands-on things. So I'm washing this dog, and he's a big Labrador, a black lab, and he's jumping around because not only is he excited, he's comfortable, but he won't stay still. He's used to this, and she's used to him not staying still. But it was a big dog, I'm a big guy, I can handle it. But then she leaves. And on my 3rd day, really, you're gonna leave me in the shop alone? But it's okay, because, what's the worst? She said she's gonna do laundry, maybe 25 minutes, go in, turn the laundry, make her next load, come right back. Well, those 25 minutes turned into about an hour and a half. I don't know what she did, but she was just gone. And I'm in there washing the same dog, and I'm in the process of drying the dog now. And one of the worst possible things that can happen, at least in my case, I think that can happen. A customer walks in the door. And as crazy as it seems, because you want, customers and that type of thing in a business like this, you want that to happen, but not on your third day where you're the only one in the office. You don't know how to greet them. You don't really know exactly what to say to come up to them, but so you tell them, at least I told them, 1 minute, sir, she'll be right back. And he knew who I was talking about. I didn't have to say her name. Her name's Colette, but I didn't have to say it because he knew exactly who I was talking about. He didn't even really know me. But so I'm telling him, and he waited for about another 25 minutes, and more people were coming in the door with their own dogs. And I'm still here drying this one dog, having a whole bunch of dogs in the crates barking behind me, not making it any easier. And they're all just, barking. And the people are asking, "Was she coming back anytime soon? Can I at least, leave my dog here? I don't pay now. I'm supposed to pay when I come back. It's not like I need a reason to stay here." And meanwhile, I'm trying to, at least get the cards ready so that way, they can fill out they can fill them out by themselves, and I can finish this dog. Because if I leave this dog here, he's gonna jump out. He's gonna jump out the cage, and the collar that we have that holds them inside the tub, they can jump out and possibly, really strain their neck. And if they're a small dog, they could possibly hang themselves, which is really bad. So I'm trying to just, and you can't explain that sort of thing to an owner, but I'm trying to, just be as logical as I can. So the one thing that's in my mind is don't leave the dog, don't leave the dog. And as chaotic as it is, I'm saying that in my head, but then it all goes out the window once the phone rings, because then I'm just stuck. And then I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And then now you can stop imagining trying to be me in that situation. Because I had to ask myself in the moment, it was like a split second, but I asked myself, why am I here? And why did I come in today? Why did it have to be me? Why am I still here? Why me? But I told myself, why did I want to come here? Because of my inspiration and what I've been told and what I'm trying to do. All of my life, when people ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't exactly know, but I always said I wanted to work with animals. And when you tell someone that, do you know what the first thing they're going to tell you what you want to be is? Not what you can be. What an option is, what you should be, what you want to be. Take a guess. Anybody? Exactly. So that's all I heard. That's all I'm hearing. This and that. I knew nothing other than what people told me, which was a vet. I knew almost no other career options. And what I hope to do in college next year at University of Delaware is major in animal science and develop the skills and be introduced to the jobs that will expose me to all the other options. And dog grooming is one of those options. So that reminded me, why I'm here. And then, what made me stay? Because I needed to prove myself that I can do other than just what people tell me to do, and that I can make myself, do this job. And I had to prove it to myself. So I stayed. I took charge. I told the people I will be right with you. I tightened the restraint and I double looped the collar leash that we had on the dog so that way he definitely could not jump out. I ran to answer the phone. Montclair Pet Grooming, how may I help you? Can I have your name and your number? Colette's not here, she'll be right back. And I told the person, one last minute, I promise you. I hung up the phone. Once I had the information, I got the person's information down on many different cards, fronts and back. I didn't have time to just dedicate one card to each person. And then I waited, I put the dogs in crates, and as soon as Colette came back, she asked me, did anything happen? No, it was fine. And then she asked me, oh, how did those dogs get, oh, they came and dropped them off. I wrote all the cards on the desk with all the information. And then she kind of just looked like, okay. So, and that was just that, and this is what I said, I want to broaden my horizon for all of my prospective careers. And so after the third day was when I kind of learned the most, I would say, about my project, because I watched her, I had done everything, and I had really taken control of the shop, and I felt comfortable from then on. And what I really learned were details about the animal care business, how it's a client-based business, which, your first impression on your clients will determine your entire career. That'll determine how well you do, where you can be. It can also set you your income. What can you actually afford to charge people? Because what most people don't think about when you think, animal care, the animals, the dogs, the cats, whatever pets that they have, those are, in effect, kind of like their children when they bring them in. So depending on the financial status of where you are and the people who come in, then you can kind of question them. How much are you willing to pay for your babies, which is essentially what she can do. Like, it's $60 just for a wash, a dry, and a nail clipping, let alone, that's not including the trimming of the face, that's just the brushing. And if you want all of it together, it can be about $85. And that's for just about a middle-class neighborhood, where if you were to do something in a much higher class neighborhood, you can charge like a lot more. And I'm pretty sure you might know, or at least I've heard about people who pay thousands of dollars just for their dogs to be groomed. So I also learned how to compensate when you are severely understaffed. And that came from that third day, as well as just us kind of, one day we had 3 employees and we lost one. And then that one, his friend came back, and then we lost him too because he had to go help his friend with everything that happened. But then it was back to just me and her, which slowed down production, and we had people waiting. And it's really just customer service, helping people and telling, trying to entertain them and really just assuring them that you are on your job and you are doing the best you can, and making them feel comfortable bringing their dog back here to have a successful business. I learned tips and tricks on handling dogs. And for instance, just one trick that I learned that should symbolize many more is, you would think if the dog's not going to want water in their face. So one thing to do is, you have a long-haired dog, you curl the hair underneath their chin and you hold it. That way they can struggle, but you can still control it. And they can look away, but you can pull them right back. And that way it's harder for them. So I also learned how to properly hold and carry older dogs, younger dogs, and I learned how to set up all of the, just really all of the necessary materials that you'll need to wash and properly dry your dogs. And finally, I learned how capable I am of doing work like this since I actually did it. And I learned how much I really want to explore all of my other options. Are there any questions? Ava?
Did you ever have anyone who was particularly nasty to you, and how you dealt with that situation?
Yes, that would be on that third day, the guy I had waiting for about 30 minutes. And he just, after I'd say 25 minutes, I could tell in the way he was, standing. There are no chairs really in the front. It's supposed to be a quick thing. You drop them off, you find your paperwork, you fill it out again, and it's supposed to be quick. But it's the amount of time he was waiting there, he never had to wait that long. And he looked at me like I was the cause, which I kind of was, but I didn't know exactly how to do it all, and I just kind of had to improvise on the spot. But definitely, I couldn't be rude back to him, even though that might be your initial response, to be like, okay, you know what, you need to wait, and just be kind of short and snippy, because it's not my client, it's hers. So you really have to keep in perspective, you could potentially ruin someone else's business.
Do you think that, let's imagine that you are a customer in some place and you are having difficulty with the employee. Do you think that now you are going to see that employee in another way?
Yes.
You're going to be a little more compassionate, or you're going to...
I think if
I've
you're...
said that before.
I think if I have... Wait, you mean if I'm upset with...
If you're a customer and the employee of a place is not giving you the attention that you deserve and want.
I think
do you feel different now, or?
I feel different because I know that it might not be, their personal disposition against me. They might just be very stressed under their job, and that they might, be trying to do the best that they can. And I try, not to let that cloud my judgment over the whole business itself, or the person who owns it, or even that one person, because it could just be that the day that they're having is really a really, really messed up day. Anybody? That's it? All right. Oh, Mom?
You mentioned that your mother introduced you to the woman. What was your expectation when you first met the woman in terms of your understanding of this being a job versus an intern, or just?
Okay, well, I was very I wasn't excited to have to go and, kind of, in a sense, beg this woman for a job. Not because of anything, prideful. I was just, I guess, being shy. I didn't want to really go in there and introduce myself and try and, be, in a sense, in her way or just another person to look out for and be a liability on her job. So I was kind of worried to just go in there. So then I played it off like I just didn't even want to do it. But then I actually slowly started to not want to do it when I realized that like she couldn't pay me at all. I slowly started to not want to do it. But then after the first day, she paid me for like $5 per dog that I did. And we might have had like 7 dogs. So I walked away with $35 just because of the dog. And I didn't even have to stay for the whole 8 hours. I could have just left at 2 o'clock. I stayed, but there were no dogs. But from 9 to 2 o'clock, we had about 7 dogs come in, and I left with $35. So I guess.
Were you ever afraid that a dog you were working with might bite you?
No. Like I said, I've been around dogs since I was as little as I can remember, my first memory. So I love them, and I look at dogs with like, the dogs that come up to you on the street, you think, they love you, this and that, they're interested. And I look back at them with that same interest. So I think that I'm more interested in the dog. And I'm that kid who, I used to be that kid who would like sit around just watching animal shows. I do that on my off time still, but I watch it and I can see signs like when a dog's about to bite you. And I guess I also can see that when it's about to bite someone else, whether I say it or not, but I can still tell. Yes?
Mario, you mentioned that the vacuum was very interesting. I'd like to hear why that.
It was a vacuum, it's on, hold on. Her dryer was very similar. So you see this like nozzle here? Well, her vacuum was about twice as wide. It was a big nozzle. You had to hold it like this, but it sucked up so much. All you had to do was just point in the direction, and all the crumb, like all the maybe the nails or the fur and the hair and all just the dust would be sucked right up. And it felt like especially when she left, and she left me alone many more times before. But if there were no customers, I turned on the vacuum and I started just walking around, or put it in the middle, and I watched everything just come to me. And I might make a little but like I just. So in my off time, I'd mess around with the vacuums and stuff, but it was just very interesting to see just how strong it was.
I think perhaps you should also consider turning this experience into a stand-up routine. I think you'd do well with that.
Thank you.
I also wanted to ask you, did the experience how did it help you to open up what options you have in terms of career choices? I wasn't sure where you were going to go with this, frankly, and I'm really impressed with how the experience made you think more deeply about what you wanted to do.
Well, it kind of told me and a lot of it is handling the dogs, and I always thought like, oh, since I'm good with dogs, I should handle them some type of way. But it showed me that there's more to just handling a dog. There's more you can do. Like, this job is more than just handling a dog, even though that's a lot of it. So it showed me that no matter what I do, there's gonna be more to it than just handling the animals I like or just being around the animals I like. There's gonna be actual work I have to do, and I have to ask myself, am I really ready for that? Or if I'm gonna have to do work, would I rather be in somewhere else where I know it's gonna be where I can expect it. But this honestly really didn't feel like work. And it told me working with animals, as long as I'm around them and hands-on, it won't be a problem. I can do it. I don't feel like I'm working. It doesn't feel laborious. So, and David?
I want to congratulate you on dealing with that difficult situation. I know adults that wouldn't have been able to handle it the way that you did. So I want to say that was a good job. But did the place only did dogs, or did they have cats or animals or things that they? Cats
came in very seldomly. I remember there were people who would walk by and see that we would have so many dogs. They'd walk in and they even ask, do you do anything other than dogs? Do you do cats? And the sign says pets. So we just assume that the sign says pets. If you have a pet, bring them in. But a lot of people we do more than dogs. We did cats, except I didn't really do many of the cats. I just kind of did the washing because cats are very different. They're very, they're not as easy. They're still, interesting, but they're just not as as it's not as easy to tell the signs like when a cat really doesn't like you, because some cats don't want to show the signs. Like if a cat's really agitated, of course you'll see that. But if it's something that annoys them really quickly, bam, you're scratched. And then, or bam, now you're bleeding. You don't know if this person gave their cats their shots or something. So, quick question, Darcy.
Oh, sorry, can I ask one?
Yes, we're gonna hold you guys up.
Because you described this really incredible rapport with dogs and intuition working with them. Do you have a dog?
Yes.
Or is this just, okay.
Yes, I
was
do.
wondering if it's just like.
Yes, I have a dog. She follows me. She loves me. My mom's gonna have to find something to do with her when I leave. So that's what she's threatening me to do. Yes, Mr. Riza?
What's the latest style with dogs? What's going on?
The latest style?
Second
Oh, okay.
question is, what do you think of all this? People groom their dogs. I mean, is it something we need to do, or is it 50% good stuff and 50%?
I think those are intertwined questions, because the latest style with dogs, the style of the dog is typically seasonal, because whether or not you just need, if a dog is in the winter, you want the hair to be long and thick, but you don't want it to be so, shedding so much that it's unbearable. You don't want it to be tangled and matted. And now, since summer is really here and approaching, the people are coming in constantly. Like, this is a great time for dog groomers, because dogs are coming in and they're coming just dog after dog, leash after leash, and everybody wants their long-haired dog to be shortened. And you can make a price for long-haired dogs at like $80 for a cut, for nail cuttings and clippings and then shampoo. But if you really want, deep conditioner and maybe a certain style, like the dog that we have with the mohawk or something like that, that can be around maybe like $130. Yeah. Yeah. So it's all about what the dog needs. And I think it's very good that people want to take care of their dogs and bring them in, even if it's a lot of money, because you know what, you're helping someone else out, you're helping your dog out. Your wallet may not like it, but the person behind the counter does, definitely. So.